I'm back, and this is the second part of my three-part Thing retrospective, where basically I'm covering the prequel to 1982's The Thing, which came out in 2011. Now, commercially, this film flopped because it sucked, but I'm not looking at it as the prequel to The Thing. I'm looking at it as a movie within and of itself. So, without further ado, here's the trailer for The Thing 2011.
48 hours ago, we found something quite remarkable.
What'd they find?
There's a structure.
In Antarctica?
And a specimen.
Really?
Touching down.
This is Kate Lloyd's, Columbia Paleontology.
Let me show you why you flew 10,000 miles. We estimate it's been here 100,000 years.
I'm going to take a tissue sample.
Do you really think that's a good idea?
Yes, I do. You, my friends, will all be immortalized as the people who made this discovery.
Did you hear that?
My God.
Somebody was attacked.
But it seems everyone is fine.
Either someone miraculously healed themselves, or someone is not who they say they are.
What was it doing to him?
It's imitating his cells. I think this thing copies its prey and then hides inside it.
What are you saying?
Not all of us are human. Could be any of us. We can't let this thing leave. If it makes it out of here, millions of people could die.
Ooh boy, didn't that get your juices flowing? Nah, well, unfortunately, it's all downhill from there. it's all down. Well, no, it's all downhill from there. But not in the way you might think. So, without further ado, we'll go into plot, special effects, music, everything else. After the cut. Okay, the plot of this film, as the prequel to The Thing, is that if you watch the original movie, the 1982 version of The Thing, you find out that there was the Norwegian outpost where all this bad shit went down. And basically, this film tells what happened at that other research base. So these people discover that these scientists are in this trench runner, I guess tundra strider. I don't know, a tundra. It's a vehicle for riding in Antarctica. And because this film takes place in Antarctica. And something happens, and their little vehicle gets trapped in a crevice, and they turn on the lights in the vehicle, and they see that there's a saucer in this vehicle, in this crevice. They're like, oh shit. So they go and they find something in the saucer, and they take it back to their headquarters, and it thaws out, and shit gets real. Now, that's the general plot. Now, what happens in this film is you have I mean, it's kind of weird. This film, parts of this film feel like love letters thematically to the John Carpenter film. There are things that are almost shot-for-shot reproductions that happen in the John Carpenter film, but it feels like a cheap knockoff in some ways to the John Carpenter film. So one of the big things that happen in this film is that how they discover a way to find out if this creature is the Thing. Turns out the Thing cannot replicate inorganic material. So if you have metal fillings or an earring or a titanium rod in your arm that was used to set it, to help it set, it can't replicate that, and it will discard it. So basically, their test in this film, in order to determine if you are the Thing, they want to look in your mouth and see if you got fillings. Yeah. That's a very ingenious way to determine if a creature that can kill you, by the way, is in fact hiding amongst you. Get in real close and look in its mouth, and look in the person's mouth to see if they got fillings. The main character of this movie her name is, if I remember correctly, Kate Lloyd, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's a paleontologist graduate from Columbia University in this film, and basically she's kind of like the MacReady of the film, but not really. She's not MacReady, not even remotely like MacReady. For one thing, she doesn't represent the everyman, and she doesn't have the same type of rough exterior of MacReady, and most importantly, she doesn't have that beard, which we'll get into in the third part of this retrospective. But aside from that, she is the scientist that if people had listened to, none of the shit would happen. The Danish scientist in the film is like, we're gonna get samples of this creature, and she's like, no, don't do it. He does it anyway, and then the shit gets real. A lot of people die, and before the end of it, like, almost everyone is killed, except for one of the dogs, which is actually a thing that managed to escape, 2 helicopter pilots, and the lady. We never find out what happens to her. She probably dies. So that's the general plot. A lot of people die. A lot of things are done so that they connect with the 1982 film. So you see the part where someone buries an axe into a doorway, and the burnt body in the thing. I mean, in the shed. I mean, it's just. I can't really get that into. It's just this film. Without further ado, I will get to the special effects and after the cut. Alright, special effects. Well, here's where the movie gets a lot of hate from Thing fans. The special effects in this film are... what's the word I'm looking for? They are CGI. The irony is that this movie had a budget where they went and got the people who did the special effects for the first film. And they actually had them make puppets and stuff. But apparently the studio didn't feel that was viable. So they went back and they replaced all of those people's hard work with CGI. And you can tell that, like, they wind up taking what should be a very awesome creature feature experience and turning it into a CGI fest. And Like, at no point when I watched this film did I feel, that's creepy. I was like, that's interesting. I mean, I wasn't really, oh my god! There are parts in the original thing where I felt terrified. And the thing is like, even though the special effects haven't aged as well as some other special effects, like 2001: A Space Odyssey, those special effects stand up. Jaws, those special effects stand up. The original Star Wars trilogy, not the retouched up, optimized George Lucas. The special effects in the original thing do still stand up because it's an actual object or person there doing these things. It's not CG. CG, no matter how good it looks, is still fake. You get what I'm saying? It's not real. It's a computer-generated image, and you know it's a computer-generated image, and it doesn't even have the character. It's the reason why people like the Muppets, is because even though it's a sock or it's a puppet, you're like, oh my god, that's a person's actually there. There's presence, and you ascribe presence and personality to that object. Okay, so yeah, mentally, on a strictly intellectual level, you realize that Kermit the Frog is just some guy, is just a guy with a puppet. But in your head, you don't think of the guy in the puppet, you think it's Kermit the Frog. Well, that's the same thing you have with CGI versus practical special effects, is that CGI, it's just, I'm watching computer-generated image. There's nothing actually there. Practical special effects, there's something there. The actors are reacting to something that is there. They actually have something to emote off of. So this film has a lot of CGI, very few, and the thing is that there was actually practical special effects done, and Universal countermanded the directors and the producer and made it fucking CGI fest, which hurt the movie, in my opinion, because this thing in this film is not nearly as clever or as smart as the thing from the 1982 version. This thing is very, is not with it. It's not together. Is not with it. It's not together. It's like a mindless monster. So this film is more like, kind of like the 1951 film. But even the 1951's thing was smarter than this one. This one is just very, I mean, it's like a standard, it's like a standard monster flick. There's no real cleverness or thought put into it, which sucks because, I mean, this creature clearly went, this creature was clearly on a spacecraft and knew how to get the thing started again and was gonna leave. Clearly, it is more intelligent than what the, like, it's you have a film that has, you could tell this script went through many rewrites, there were reshots, there was a lot of shit that these people were countermanded on by the studio. And that's not good because the studio made a terrible movie. And I don't know why I threw this into the special effects section, but I guess because the special effects are a symptom of a bigger issue with this film. Which is sad because this could have been a great prequel to The Thing, but it just wasn't gonna happen. it just was, no, it wasn't gonna happen. So I guess I'll get to music after the cut. So, music. The music of this film really is very generic, standard monster film. Nothing really all that awe-inspiring about it. The only time you get to see the, to hear the titular Humanity theme song from The Thing is at the very end. Spoiler alert, at the very end of the film, the two helicopter pilots that went to go do something, that were sent out to go do some other shit, come back and they see one of the dogs escape, and the guy's like, oh shit, we killed all the dogs, that must be one of those things. And they get in the helicopter and they start playing the Thing theme song, and they're sitting there gonna chase this thing back and kill it. You know, typical. You get the Humanity theme song, which is the theme song to the thing. So you'll hear it in the credits, perhaps. So basically, the thing, the music is generic science fiction, nothing really memorable about it, which, I'll give my final thoughts after the cut. Okay, final thoughts of this film. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to do this. Oh god. This film by itself is a generic monster film. Nothing really with standard special effects. I would say if Sci-Fi Channel's monster films with their shitty CGI or like the lowest tier science fiction films, this is maybe up here above that. But it's not up here with the really good science fiction films. So that kind of sucks. That being said, this film it was a good idea, but the execution was poorly done. The writers wanted to do a film that would be a prequel to The Thing. And the way they were going, from what I've seen of the book based off of the screenplay, it actually would have been a good film. But the studio got involved and basically did a lot of shit. They replaced the practical special effects with CGI, which, once we get to the third film in this special, you'll see why practical special effects done well, shit all over CGI. We'll always shit all over CGI. Practical special effects, in my mind, shit all over CGI every time. Because practical special effects, there's something actually there. There's a person there, there's a thing there, there's something going on. It's not like, well, it's a face on a stick, do something. There's actually something there, so people actually have a reaction. And so this film is a poster child. Why is practical CGI? Why am I talking about practical versus CGI, practical special effects versus CGI? Because in a movie with a movie monster, you have to do either practical special effects or CGI. It's the reason why I like traditional Godzilla films over that shit that came out in '98. And I like the 2014 Godzilla film with Gareth Edwards, but it's very Americanized. It's a little too Americanized, and their dependence on CGI is just, I don't know why people are so afraid of doing practical special effects. I know it takes time. I know it's expensive, but you get a much better product. It's like, sometimes there is no substitute for real sugar. Yeah, you can do honey, you can do Splenda. Sometimes you gotta use real sugar. And this is one of those cases where the real thing trumps something that's made out of CGI, that's done on a computer. So, with that being said, my overall thoughts of this film is, if you watch it by itself, on its own merits as a film, it's a generic monster film. It reached for greatness, it just couldn't reach it because Universal Studios just got too involved. They should have just given them money and left them the fuck alone and let them make the film. Instead, they were like, well, we know what we're doing. And they didn't, and they made something that was totally garbage. As it being a prequel to one of the best science fiction films ever created, it's a fail. It's a failure in it has inconsistencies. It's a fail. It's a total fail. And so, sorry. This film, watch it so that you can, if you are a film major, watch it so that you can learn what not to do when making a film. Which leads to, this is the end of this review. Stay tuned to the next review where I'll be reviewing The Thing, 1982, aka John Carpenter's The Thing. Good times.